how do we design for story in our enterprise architecture, the enterprise story? And for that matter, what does enterprise as story mean in real practice? Well, the first one I'd suggest is that the enterprise, it's not just the company, it's actually a story world, a world in which we and many others appear. The elements of that story are, what is it that everyone is acting on or everyone is concerned about? What are the concerns or the drivers that make it happen? And what are the actions that everyone is taking? A simple idea would be the TED vision, the TED video, of the TED videos and the TED conference, which is ideas worth spreading. Everyone is concerned about ideas. The action is that everyone is spreading ideas. And why is this important? It's because these are ideas that are worth spreading. So acted on, the concern, the actions, and the driver, the why. So for a story world to work, all players in that story world agree to, and in fact must comply with, the values, the descriptions of what is good and what is not good. Because that's where trust comes for all of the players. And the story world won't work unless that's actually what's happening. So our organisation then positions its own story, its own storyline within that story world. It has allies, other people who help it drive its own story. Competitors are the people who have exactly the same positioning in the story. But allies are often people who are related but don't compete or in any real way. An ally helps us build an interdependent, mutually supportive network. A very good example is the town of Hay-on-Wye in England, whose entire industry is second-hand bookstores, stores for used books. Each of the stores supports a different part of the story. So some support military history, some support fashion, some support cooking, some support science fiction, some support romance fiction. They're all covering different parts of the story world, but that means they're allies, they are co-opetition, so building the whole. Another one would be, imagine the enterprise of mend my chair. If my chair breaks, I'm now in the enterprise of mend my chair. There are multiple routes into the story world of mending chairs. Someone may be just interested in mending chairs themselves. Someone comes in because their chair is broken. Someone has particular services that, among other things, can be used for mending chairs, such as a hardware store. So an organisation has services to help mending a chair. That's how we position ourselves in the story world of mending chairs. But it's not about selling into that space. As Chris Potts puts it in his really useful phrase, customers do not appear in our processes, we appear in their experiences. Or as someone else put it the other day, it's not that customers appear in an organisation's story, we appear in their stories. So what is it that connects together, that helps the story work, that drives the definitions of trust, of value, and so on? That's where the idea of enterprise as story comes in, that helps us understand the story world that our organisation operates within. And the architecture develops out of that understanding of story, of how the story flows right the way through the organisation and beyond, in all of its relationships in the story world. That's why we talk about design for story, and why we talk about enterprise as story, enterprise beyond the organisation.